So as we continue to creep closer and closer to Pokemon Sword and Shield's release, the hype continues to build with each and every day that passes by. As a matter of fact, as of the recording of this video, we actually got a trailer just yesterday, which is likely to be the last official trailer that we will receive before the games come out. And while it didn't reveal anything too monumental about the game, it did give us some interesting tidbits that are still very interesting to learn about. And so in today's video, I thought I would go ahead and couple the information we got from that trailer with some various facts that we've learned about the game over this promotional period and give you guys 25 really interesting facts about Pokemon Sword and Shield. As I mentioned in the last video though, I am staying spoiler free in order to allow myself to go into the games as blind as possible, and therefore I am not going to be posting any spoiler related content in this video or on my channel in general, at least until after the games come out. So each and every one of these facts has to do with things that have been officially revealed, officially publicized, and don't have to do with the leaks whatsoever. So if you're like me and trying to avoid the leaks, you can watch this video in its entirety with no worry whatsoever. With all that being said though, why don't we go ahead and get right to it. Starting with the things that were revealed from yesterday's trailer, they mostly circled around the idea of raising your Pokemon from a competitive standpoint, and one of the new features or updated features they discussed is that you can now give vitamins to your Pokemon in excess, essentially. In earlier Pokemon games, items like calcium, protein, etc., you could only give so many to your Pokemon before they were essentially maxed out. But in the trailer, it shows the player giving as many as 26 calcium to a Gengar, effectively showing that you can boost your Pokemon stats with these supplements essentially as much as you want. A couple new items were also introduced in these trailers, the first of which being mints. Mints are going to be an item that will actually be used to change the nature of your Pokemon if you so choose, giving further accessibility to each and every Pokemon to eventually become a competitive Pokemon if you want it to be that way. In addition, there are also new items called experience candies similar to rare candies, which will give your Pokemon a set amount of experience depending on the size of the candy itself. And as was shown in the trailer, the bigger sized candies can even level up your Pokemon a couple of levels instead of just one. Another new feature in these games has to do with the daycare, and essentially it allows you to take two of the same Pokemon to the daycare, and if one has egg moves and one doesn't, the one with egg moves will actually share those moves with the Pokemon without egg moves, which essentially removes the need to constantly rebreed to get the kind of egg moves and natures and everything else that you want all within one Pokemon, which is a really convenient feature. Another really nice quality of life feature that's being added in these games, according to Cerebi, is the fact that you can now nickname traded Pokemon that don't already have a nickname themselves, something that you couldn't do in any main series Pokemon game leading up to now, which is really nice and convenient considering how frustrating it was not to be able to rename a Pokemon that was traded to you. Further adding to the convenience factor, Pokemon Sword and Shield are taking a page out of Let's Go's book and allowing you to access the Pokemon in your PC boxes basically from anywhere, which allows you to switch Pokemon onto your team and access Pokemon in your boxes way more conveniently than you could do in past Pokemon games. Moving on from the trailer though, the names of the Pokemon Sword and Shield games themselves weren't decided until the very last minute according to the game's producers, and actually ended up being based on the legendaries rather than the other way around. According to Game Freak and being relayed to us by Game Informer, development on Pokemon Sword and Shield actually started before Pokemon Sun and Moon had even released, with the earliest concepts and ideas about the game being created during the media tour for Pokemon Sun and Moon. As you might know already, James Turner is the art director for these games, which is rather significant considering that he is the first Western art director for the series, and it's a perfect fit considering he is also a native UK resident where the Galar region of Pokemon Sword and Shield is based. The Galar region is also the only main series Pokemon region that does not have the letter O somewhere within its name, but it is still 5 letters long, which keeps up the pattern of every main series Pokemon region other than the lone exception in Sinnoh. A pretty recent announcement about the games that actually got a lot of people hyped and excited is that Toby Fox, the legendary creator and composer of the amazing and classic Undertale game, actually got to compose a track for Pokémon Sword and Shield. We don't know which track it is specifically at this time, but we do know that it is some kind of battle theme. So it's been fairly well known over the past couple generations that many of Pokemon's characters recently are getting their names from various plants, and not just the professors that are classically named after trees. However, it seems like Game Freak is taking this to the next level in Pokemon Sword and Shield because, oddly enough, many of the characters in the game actually get their names from various vegetables. Bede's name is Beet in Japanese, Alistair's name is Onion in Japanese, and even though these next two are kind of ambiguous in the vegetable department, Oleana does get her various names from olives, which I guess are technically fruit, but do commonly associate with vegetables as well, and then Bee gets her name from bean, and once again, even though beans are technically legumes, I do feel like it's close enough and it is kind of odd just the same, so I'm gonna go ahead and count it. According to Masuda and Omori, Gigantamax Pokemon, which are one of the big main features of these games, were created in order to take advantage of the Switch's power and the ability to show the difference in size of various in-game models on the system. It also likely gets inspiration from the history of the UK as well, as many legends and myths within the region depict giants that once supposedly lived within that area. An interesting thing about the starter Pokemon Scorbunny is that in a Game Informer interview, it was stated that Scorbunny in particular was designed to be as simple and clean looking as possible, and many iterations of its design were created in order to achieve this. The reason for this direction is that Game Freak wanted to allow kids to connect to the Pokemon a little more themselves and be able to draw it themselves thanks to its simple design. While not a part of Pokemon Sword and Shield specifically, James Turner revealed during Sword and Shield's promotion that when he interviewed for a job at Game Freak, he was asked to design and draw a Pokemon within 30 minutes, and for this he designed a tree-like Pokemon that eventually inspired the design for the Kalos Pokemon Phantom. One fact that has been well documented but is still interesting nonetheless is that during the initial reveal trailer for Pokemon Sword and Shield, one of the key things that was shown off was this massive hill figure of a giant looking creature, and at the time many people were trying to speculate as to what this could be. However, as for where it actually came from, this hill figure within the game is actually based on a real life hill figure within the UK known as the Cern-Abass Giant. When it comes to the gym leaders, every single gym leader has a unique number that appears on their jersey. However, this number is not a random thing. These numbers actually use the Japanese Gorowase word system, which translate numbers into various words and phrases. Amongst the gym leaders that we already know about, the words vegetables for Milo, to swim for Nessa, fight for B, and hateful for Alistair can all be translated from the numbers on their respective jerseys. Something that technically isn't outright confirmed, but is basically a foregone conclusion at this point, is that the Pokemon Corvonite is most likely based on the flying bird sprite from other earlier Pokemon games. From Generation 3 to Generation 6, when you used the HM Fly, the silhouette of a bird Pokemon would show up to take you where you needed to go, and this was basically meant to ambiguously represent your Pokemon even though they couldn't show a custom sprite at that time. However, it seems that Corvonite has now taken that image and made it into an official Pokemon, because Corvonite, not only being all black just like the sprite, is also used to fly people around within the Galar region and is your personal mode of air transportation within the game. A detail that hasn't really been talked about that much by the trailers themselves is that the names of the player characters are Victor and Gloria for the male and female player character respectively, and these names come from the words victory and glory, and this inspiration comes from the main theme of Pokemon Sword and Shield, which is all about being the best and the greatest. Another thing that technically hasn't been outright confirmed but is still something to chew on nonetheless has to do with Impedimp. It is rather peculiar that Impedimp has been shown off several times officially within demos and various live streams and whatnot, but has never officially been revealed by the Pokemon Company to this point. Once again, while not a confirmed fact, the fact that Impedimp did play this specific role within the marketing of the games and is also based on an imp, this whole stunt could have been an intentional pun of sorts, as Impedimp could have been intentionally used by Game Freak and the Pokemon Company to quote-unquote troll the fans. Both of the officially revealed flying types for these games, Cramorant and Corvonite, are both primary flying type, which is actually something that is very rare because the only primary flying types we have currently, outside of these two, are Tornadus and the Noivern line. This might actually signify a shift in focus by Game Freak in order to provide more balance to the flying type by giving Pokemon who are primarily creatures of flight the flying type first, but again, we're just gonna have to wait and see officially what ends up happening with the rest of the flying types in this gen as well. A Pokemon that was fairly recently revealed was Galarian Ponyta, but much to everyone's surprise, instead of being the very likely Fairy type, it ended up being Psychic type instead, and many people were confused as to why this was the case. However, the reason why Galarian Ponyta is Psychic type is because within mythology, unicorns are actually known to be able to cure poisonings, which within Pokemon, Psychic type is strong against. However, if Galarian Ponyta happened to be Fairy type, it would actually be weak to poison, which wouldn't really make much sense with its inspiration. Something that was known pretty much right away about the Galar region is that Galar is based on the UK, but it is actually a version of the UK that is turned upside down, with Wales and Northern Ireland unfortunately being excluded. However, even though Wales isn't a part of the region specifically, it still does have influence within the games, as the leek is the national emblem for the country, and as we all know, the leek is also the signature weapon of Farfetch'd, who finally, after years and years, received an evolution in these games in the form of Sirfetch'd, likely for this specific reason. Your rival Hop gets his name from the hop plant, which is actually most well known as a main ingredient in beer. However, he also shares his name with the Japanese move for splash, as it is also called hop in Japan, which funnily enough makes him the only Pokemon character, at least as far as I'm aware, who shares their name with the name of a move. An interesting coincidence between the starters is that for their weight, Sobble weighs 8.8 pounds, Scorbunny weighs 9.9, and Grookey weighs an even 11, which are all 1.1 pounds away from each other. All of the starters are exactly 1 foot in height as well, and even though this probably doesn't mean anything, it's still an interesting coincidence nevertheless. And last but not least, one of the other main features for these games are the idea of max raid battles, which has you competing cooperatively with other players against a Dynamaxed or Gigantamaxed Pokemon. However, even though the name of this feature is reminiscent of the raids from Pokemon Go, this feature was actually created before Pokemon Go even implemented it. However, at that time, they were simply known as cooperative battles. After Pokemon Go introduced their own raid feature, however, and saw that it became popular and people got used to the term raid, Game Freak decided to change the name of their feature to raid as well, in order to be consistent with what people were already familiar with. And those were 25 awesome facts about Pokemon Sword and Shield. Whether you've heard some of these before or not, I thought it would be fun to kind of gather as many cool facts as I could into one video right before the games come out, so once again, we can talk about the games, get hyped about them, without necessarily spoiling them at the same time. With that being said though, I hope you guys enjoyed the video once again. Leave a like if you did, and leave your thoughts in the comments below as to what you think about these facts, or about what you're most excited to see from the games in general. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe for more Sword and Shield coverage now and after the games come out, as well as plenty of other Pokemon content, and if you'd like to support the channel further, you can check me out on Spotify, you can check out my Pokemon Cardinal project if you haven't, and you can even pick up some merch with the link in the description, and any and all support on any of those things is massively appreciated. With that being said though, I'll be back on Saturday with another video, so be sure to hit that notification bell so you can know when it goes live, and with all that being said, until the next one, as always, I love you guys, and I will smell you guys later.